Hello, everyone, and welcome to Overtime. Ukrainian President Zelinski is meeting with President Biden in the Oval Office at this very moment. It's the first time that Zelinski has left the country since Russia began their invasion earlier this year. This meeting is happening as Biden is set to unveil a $1.8 billion weapons deal for Ukraine, which is set to include the U.S. Patriot missile system and JDAM precision bomb conversion kits, which allow conventional, they're still going to be conventional, but allows so-called dummy munitions to be turned into smart bombs. This as Congress is set to sign off on another $45 billion aid package to Ukraine and NATO allies. A number of members of Congress have expressed concern, however, that all of this new aid and just Zelinski's visit is going to provoke escalation from Putin. We'd obviously love to be carrying this story and discussing it, but unfortunately, more pressing matters for those of us in the U.S. have taken precedent. Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia has declared a state of emergency as a historic cold front is preparing to strike the U.S. The state of Kentucky just issued a state of emergency about 90 minutes ago. What is known as a bomb cyclone, where a storm front rapidly intensifies and drops as much as, drops 24 millibars or more of atmospheric pressure in 24 hours, is expected to strike much of the U.S. with strong winds and record-breaking cold, to say the least, in what is being described as a life-threatening wind chill condition for millions across the country. The National Weather Service is calling this a once-in-a-generation event, which for those of you who feel like we've heard that before, well, we have, but it depends on what you consider the event. But we are getting more and more of these, obviously, as global climate change begins to affect us more and more. The National Weather Service is also saying that this will cripple travel on some of the busiest travel days of the year. More than 90 million people are currently under weather winter alerts spanning 37 states in the Union. United Airlines, American, Delta, Southwest, and JetBlue have all begun issuing travel waivers and warnings for dozens of airports across the country. Starting today, we're expecting heavy snowfall and ice over the northern plains, including the Rockies, and out into the Midwest. Minneapolis, Omaha, and Rapid City are expected to suffer freezing conditions and between 5 to 9 inches of snow, with the worst of it just west of the Twin Cities. Denver is expected to hit a high of 47 today, but as we are preparing for this bomb cyclone again, it is rapidly changing conditions, and they're expected to hit a low of negative 14 by tomorrow morning. This will be the coldest day for Denver in over 32 years. By tomorrow, the winds will be picking up, and the Midwest will be expecting heavy snow and strong winds with blizzard conditions and potentially deadly wind chills between Thursday and Friday of this week. Whiteout conditions are expected during, quote, whiteout conditions are expected during this time, with travel becoming very difficult or impossible, said the National Weather Service today. They added, quote, this event could be life-threatening if you are stranded with wind chills in the 30 or 45 degrees below zero range, which will be striking much of the country. Chicago is expecting blizzard conditions with wind gusts as high as 50 miles per hour and 6 inches of snow. Snow is expected as far south as Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Nashville, and even Birmingham, Alabama. Northern states like Michigan are expected to pick up more than a foot of snow by Friday. In addition to all of this snow, of course, is the record-breaking cold. Beginning Thursday, the Dakotas are expected to be running about 40 degrees below average for this time of year. Southern cities like Houston, Texas, are expected to be below freezing for more than 46 hours. As born and raised in Boston, that does not particularly bother me, but having been in Texas when a light dusting shut down the entire airport, I am aware that they're not necessarily used to or prepared for such conditions, and it is important to recognize it will be below freezing for more than 46 hours, which is unusual. Meanwhile, cities like Jackson and Birmingham are expected to spend more than 80 hours below freezing. Wind chill in Chicago is expected to be 30 degrees below zero. 45 degrees below zero in Rapid City, and this is wind chill. Let's keep that in mind. And wind chill in the Dakotas and Montana is expected to reach as low as 50 degrees below zero. The Weather Service in Bismarck said today, quote, "This dangerously cold wind chill could cause frostbite on exposed skin in as little as 5 minutes." Obviously, this is extreme weather. We're having states already declaring states of emergency. It's manageable if you know ahead of time, which is one reason why we are broadcasting this on all channels on Twitter simultaneously. We think as many people should know. Obviously, this storm has been coming for a while, but we're getting an increasing awareness of just how serious it's going to be. A number of states have already suffered devastating tornadoes, hurricanes. We've covered this. This is expected to be unprecedented. The good news is we know ahead of time. So if you prepare, follow your state's guidelines. Obviously, different states, depending on how used they are to these kinds of weather conditions, are going to have different preparations already available. New England, where I am from, is actually not going to get hit particularly hard. At least we're not expecting it. And we are one of the states that is more prepared for this kind of thing. So that's the way the luck of the draw goes. I will be checking in on our live chat in just a minute, but we strongly urge people to not travel if they don't have to. Much of the U.S. is going to be paralyzed by this, is our understanding, and it is absolutely life-threatening. 45 to 50 degrees below zero with wind chill is utterly astonishing. That now, especially in North Dakota, they actually do get that throughout the year intermittently. There are some pretty extreme weather conditions in the U.S., but this is something that we are asking people to take very seriously. So please, again, check with your local and state officials and turn on your radio, go to the internet and check your local weather service and figure out what's going on. With any luck, you're in an area that's not expected to get hit hard. Please, under no set of circumstances, expect that because the weather is fine today, that it will be tomorrow. Again, our expectation right now, I think I had said that Denver is expecting a high of 47 degrees today. That's not bad. Not bad at all for, late December, 45 degrees. Hey, great. They will be negative, what was that? I think it was negative 15 tomorrow. Negative 15, negative 14, negative 15 tomorrow. That's without wind chill. That's just the straight temperature. That's a huge change in a very short period of time. So if you happen to be out and about in an area that you aren't prepared for that kind of weather, if your vehicle is not prepared for that kind of weather, it can change to life-threatening very, very quickly. So please, everyone, take this seriously. And again, check with the conditions are going to vary state by state. I'm going to check with the live chat. We're not really here to discuss too much. We did want to bring up Zelinski because it is important news that we had intended to cover somewhat more in earnest. Obviously, it is not what is most pressing at the current moment. We are also expecting to have, we have canceled the downtime for tomorrow night with Commander McMillan. That's unfortunate. There's new weapons packages and a few new things that we wanted to discuss with him. However, we are anticipating having him on with Operator Starsky on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I hope you guys will join us. Operator Starsky is always a delight to have on and really knows what he's talking about. And you get him and McMillan in the same room, and it's a powerhouse of information. So with that said, let me check the chat. And again, we are streaming on both in time and overtime. we'll be discussing what's happening with the overtime channel in a little bit. Is Andering supposed to be negative 45 Fahrenheit wind chill tomorrow? Yeah, it's going to be. Cheese Wizard, good God, the Texas power grid is going to be after. Yeah, that's a concern. I hadn't actually thought about that, but their power grid is notoriously unreliable in any kind of inclement weather, and this is, I think we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. I think anyone who's in the Texas area, and we have some dear friends who are, needs to start taking precautions immediately and assume that the power is going to be out. Maya, negative 45. Yes, that's with wind chill, and that's important. Now, it's what we're expecting again in Denver is, for example, negative 14 without wind chill. It's very important to recognize the difference in those numbers. It's also important to recognize that the wind chill numbers are extraordinarily serious regardless. The wind chill numbers account for things such as, again, frostbite. So it's both numbers are important, but negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit is astonishing. So if somebody can drop in the live chat, I can. I'm not going to do the math, but if somebody can drop in the live chat what that is in Celsius, a number of people following us are on the metric system, and just for their edification, I'd like to find out what negative 45 is in Celsius. You know what? I can find that out in a second. Stand by one, please. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to get that. So somebody can drop that in live chat, or I can figure it out. What is it? You subtract 32 and then divide by 2. I don't remember. We'll figure it out so that people who don't speak Imperial can understand the severity of what we're talking about. Negative 45 in Fahrenheit is cold. Xander, I can't get east of Chicago before tomorrow morning. Blizzard, the remember 93. I barely remember the blizzard of 78. Barely. I was extremely. I was a young announcer at the time, but I do remember it. Blizzard of 78 in Massachusetts. You had snow drifts as high as the second or third floor of buildings, and so you could see people standing on their deck. It looked like their deck. It was actually the balcony on the second floor, and when they had cut out snow, everything was just corridors, 12 feet high of snow. It was like you were in a maze. It was yeah. I actually don't remember any of that. I didn't go outside. Okay, so Gaming with Robin, negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit is about negative 42 degrees Celsius. Thank you, Gaming with Robin. So for those of you not in the U.S. trying to get some understanding of why this is such important news, so that's negative 42 degrees Celsius. Obviously quite cold. All right. Yep. All right. So that's helpful, Porpoise, and Gaming with Robin, appreciate it. So that's what we're looking at again with wind chill. This is again a oh dear, what's the term? A bomb cyclone that we are expecting in a huge swath of the U.S. What a bomb cyclone is where the temperature drops rapidly. So again, Denver is, and I know I've said this before, but I want to do it for people just showing up. Denver is currently expected to hit a high today of 45 degrees. Tomorrow, they are expecting negative 14 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to be a rapid change. It's going to be a rapid change across the country. If you are not prepared for it, you could get stuck outside. You could get stuck in blizzard-like conditions, and in some places in the country, negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit with wind chills. So it's serious. We are asking people to check in with their local weather services, their state weather services, and to not drive if you are in any of the areas that is likely to be affected. This kind of cold can affect vehicles. This kind of cold, and if your vehicle fails while you're out in this kind of weather, it can be a life sentence in some cases. So any chance you could let me know the expected temperature in Minneapolis? I don't have those figures per se. I do know Minnesota. Let's see. Minnesota was, so what we have is just sort of the extremes as we prepared the rundown. We got the most extreme cases on either side to say, okay, this is what we're seeing, high to low. Minneapolis, Minnesota, I do not appear to have that information. I do apologize. Yep. So the other thing, and we're doing this, but the other thing is to make sure that you have any water pipes that lead outside for faucets or anything like that shut off. Those pipes can freeze. Those pipes are actually usually reasonably safe if they're all internal or if they're mostly internal. But when it gets this cold, they can absolutely freeze, burst, and then when it warms up again, you've got a very serious problem on your hands. So make sure that you've weatherproofed as much as possible. Make sure that you've got enough food. We already have seen most of the shelves out here empty. So, it's a little late, I suppose, for that. But then again, this storm is not expected to last much past Friday. In some cases, it's expected to last into Saturday. And again, check with the Weather Service to figure that out. So I guess Maya's saying, Monday, 11 degrees Fahrenheit and -7 tonight. It's not expected to last all that long, but it's going to be quite serious. So everyone, please hunker down. Thank you all for joining us. Again, our regularly scheduled downtime for tomorrow has been canceled. We do have our overtime discussion with Ukrainian National Guardsman Operator Starsky and Commander McMillan, retired of the U.S. Navy, on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Those are always very informative shows, so I hope you will join us for that. Thank you very much for joining us. If you would like any more information that we have available, please join us on the Discord. And until then, please stay safe. Thank you.